Xi Jinping's appearance in Tibet was filled with unusual signals. Why no speech? No inspection? Only a rushed exit? Why did Hu Chunhua, once the chosen successor, suddenly take the stage? What message is Beijing really sending? Welcome back to Final War with Katherine Hu. Over the past week, one story has dominated China watching. After more than 20 days out of sight, Xi Jinping finally reappeared on August 20th and 21 in Tibet. And he did it with unusual fanfare. What exactly was off script about this trip? What coded signals did Beijing try to send by staging his return at the 60th anniversary celebrations of the Tibet Autonomous Region? And did we just glimpse the first public move by Xi's potential successor? Let's unpack it, starting with the hidden choreography behind Xi's Tibet appearance. Xi's appearance in Tibet told its own story, not through what he said, but through how he looked. His face was bloated, his movements heavy, his steps slow and unsteady. Even his eyes and cheeks showed signs of swelling. None of this should surprise us. Over the past year, we've already analyzed his history of stroke and cardiac episodes. At 72 years old and in such frail condition, boarding a plane to Lhasa, perched 12,000 feet above sea level, was never just a routine trip. It was a grueling, dangerous ordeal. So what exactly happened during Xi Jinping's brief, less than one-day stay in Tibet? What arrangements broke from the Communist Party's usual script? 1. Xi's reception was downgraded. This was only Xi's second visit to Tibet since taking office, and the first time he had ever attended an anniversary of the region's founding as Party General Secretary. At the 50th anniversary in 2015, Xi stayed away, sending then CPPCC Chairman Yu Zhengsheng to lead the delegation instead. So his decision to personally lead the delegation this year marked a clear elevation in protocol. By all logic, such a grand commemoration with such high-level presence should have come with an even higher standard of treatment. And yet, here is where it turned strange. At the celebration, the keynote speech was delivered not by Xi, the highest-ranking figure in the delegation, but by Politburo Standing Committee member and CPPCC Chairman Wang Huning. Throughout the entire event, Xi remained only a spectator. He never spoke a word. Such a scene is highly unusual, and in the history of party commemorations, virtually unprecedented. In my view, there are two possible reasons for Xi's silence. First, his health may simply not allow it. For a top party leader, such speeches typically last at least 45 minutes, sometimes an hour or more. In his current condition, Xi may not be able to endure that length of time on stage. Second, and more consequential, this silence may signal a retreat from the front line of power, a foreshadowing that October's upcoming fourth plenum could formally push him into a second-line role. The downgrade in symbolism was obvious elsewhere too. Let's compare this visit with the Xi's first trip to Tibet back in July 2021. At the time, Zhengzhou was reeling from a once-in-500 years flood disaster with heavy casualties. Yet Xi skipped the disaster zone and instead traveled to Tibet, a decision that sparked public outrage. That trip wasn't tied to any major political event. Still, the treatment Xi received then looked like this. Photos published by the party's own Xinhua news agency showed Xi being shaded by a bright yellow canopy, an honor historically reserved for emperors. Once Tibet staged it, other regions quickly followed suit. By June 2024, during Xi's inspection tour in Xining, Qinghai, he was again treated to the same imperial yellow canopy. But this time, the scene was stripped down. Xi was welcomed only with the standard red carpet and cheering crowds. The bright yellow canopy, the symbol of imperial status, was gone. There was more. By party convention, whenever Xi inspects local garrisons, he must be accompanied by a vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. Yet this time, Zhang Yuxia, the sole vice chairman, was absent. If Zhang had to remain in Beijing to prepare for the September 3rd military parade, then at the very least, the CMC's third-ranking officer, Chief of Staff, Liu Zhenli, should have joined Xi in Tibet. Instead, it was Zhang Shengmin, a lower-ranking member of the Central Military Commission, who accompanied Xi to Tibet and met with officers of the Tibet Military District. Such an arrangement was an unmistakable downgrade in protocol. Now, let's look at the group photo taken after Xi's meeting with senior officers of the Tibet Military District. Seated at Xi's right side was not the commander, but the district's political commissar, Yuan Honggang. The top officer, the commander himself, General Wang Kai, was entirely absent from the session with the CMC chairman. Then who is Wang Kai? He holds the rank of lieutenant general and was personally promoted by Zhang Yuxia. Wang Kai once commanded the 13th Army, Zhang Yuxia's own loyal unit. If Zhang Yuxia's absence was just a coincidence, and sending the lower-ranking Zhang Shengmin to accompany Xi was also a coincidence, then can Wang Kai's absence still be called coincidence? Hardly. This was nothing less than a public declaration. Zhang Yuxia had openly distanced himself from Xi, and effective control of the military now seemed to lie in Zhang's hands. Second, Hu Chunhua steps in for Xi. If Xi Jinping's silence was striking, what came next was even more extraordinary. According to official reports, Xi left Lhasa at noon on August 21st, after barely 1 day in Tibet. No inspections, no site visits, not even to the massive Yarlung Changpo hydropower project he had personally greenlit as a national symbol. For Xi, it was nothing more than a one-day show. But here's the twist. While Xi flew back to Beijing, Hu Chunhua remained. Hu Chunhua, once handpicked by Hu Jintao as the designated successor, later purged from Xi's 2022 Politburo lineup, was suddenly front and center. State media reported that National People's Political Consultative Conference Vice Chairman Hu Chunhua, leading the delegation's Linji team, inspected the Yarlung Tsangpo hydropower dam site, reviewed plans, and met frontline workers. Think about what this means. In party protocol, whoever leads a project is the one who inspects it. The Yarlung project is Xi Jinping's signature initiative, celebrated as the engine of Tibet's future development. It should have been Xi himself, or at least a trusted ally. Instead, Hu Chunhua was sent in his place. This was not a bureaucratic accident. It was a deliberate signal. Hu Chunhua was stepping into a role Xi Jinping could not or would not play. And Hu Chunhua wasn't alone. On the very night of Xi's arrival, the Tibet Anniversary Gala performance, Songs of the Snow Plateau was staged. Broadcast footage revealed 3 unusual faces in the front row. Hu Chunhua, Hu Haifeng, son of former party chief Hu Jintao, Guo Ningning, a prominent figure linked to the Communist Youth League faction. None of them should have been in Tibet. Yet all 3, each connected to Hu Jintao's Communist Youth League faction, were there. It was a stunning tableau. At an event meant to glorify Xi, the spotlight shifted to Hu Chunhua and his allies. For years, Hu Chunhua was the ghost of Chinese politics, the heir apparent that Xi Jinping had sidelined. Now he was suddenly resurrected, paraded through Tibet in the very spaces Xi abandoned. To seasoned watchers of Beijing, the message was unmistakable. Xi was visibly diminished, and Hu Chunhua was being rehabilitated. What the audience saw was not Xi the leader, but Xi the ceremonial leader, ushered on stage for ceremony, then quickly withdrawn while the real stage was given to his sidelined rival. So what explains these strange arrangements in Tibet? Xi Jinping, silent, sidelined, and his long-buried rival Hu Chunhua suddenly in the spotlight. The answer may lie in Beidaihe. Every summer, senior party elders and current leaders gather quietly at Beidaihe, a seaside resort near Beijing. This year's closed-door meeting reportedly produced what insiders are now calling the 4-point consensus. According to cultural scholar Wu Zuolai, who cited party contacts, the consensus included: 1. Xi stays, but only as a figurehead. To preserve the stability of the party's central leadership, Xi would remain in his post and continue to serve as the top leader, with propaganda kept consistent, but excessive personal glorification would no longer be allowed. 2. No more extensions. Xi Jinping will not be allowed to seek another term. 3. Divide the powers. Authority over party, government, and military is to be more evenly distributed, ending Xi's one-man dominance. 4. Prepare for succession. The Central Party decision-making and coordination body would take charge of preparations for the upcoming 4th plenum and begin laying the groundwork for the 21st Party Congress. If true, this consensus rewrites the script. Xi is not stepping down outright, but neither is he in full control. He is a weakened placeholder while the machinery of succession begins to move. And then came the loudest hint yet. On August 21st, the very day Xi Jinping left Tibet, the People's Daily published a lead editorial titled "Creating a Better Life, Fulfilling the Great Dream." At first glance, it looked like standard propaganda, but the first 4 characters of the text read, 春华秋实. Literally, it means flowers in spring, fruits in autumn. But the coincidence is too perfect. Chunhua is also Hu Chunhua's first name. For the party's most cautious mouthpiece to open with such a phrase was no accident. It was a subtle coded nod, signaling Hu Chunhua's return as a serious contender for leadership. What we witnessed in Tibet was not just protocol gone awry, it was the political choreography of a regime in transition. Xi, visibly frail and silent, playing the role of a fading strongman. And Hu Chunhua, once long buried, now reintroduced to the stage as a potential successor. The Beidaihe Consensus suggests that China's system is preparing for a managed transition. Xi remains as a ceremonial figure, while real power begins shifting into collective hands. What happens next? We will be watching. Get the real story behind the CCP's shifting power games and see where US-China relations are headed next. Support the vision of a new China without communism. Subscribe now and join us in bringing the truth to light.